She doesn't speak, but her eyes, her body, and the silence between her words are calling you. If you can't see that, then you're not ready to have her. 90% of men miss the moment, not because they're weak, but because they listen to words instead of reading instinct. In this video, I'll show you 7 primal signs a woman uses to say, "I want you." No words, no theory, just instinct, biology, and behavioral psychology. Each sign is backed by science. Each one rises not from what she shows, but from what lives deep inside her. Stoic philosophy teaches us this. Don't try to control others. Learn to understand nature, including your own. You don't need to perform. You don't need to act alpha. You only need to be clear-eyed enough to see what no one teaches, and calm enough not to chase after every desire. If you're the kind of man who only wants to hear what feels good, this video is not for you. But if you want the truth, if you want to read a woman like an open book, stay focused. Let's begin with the first sign. When her eyes speak louder than her words. 1. Her gaze lingers longer than it should. Have you ever sat across from a woman and felt her eyes asking for more than words? You might think it's your imagination. It's not. That's a real signal. And by the end of this, you'll know how to tell the difference. Most men miss the very first sign. Her gaze holds a second too long. And because they miss the first step, they never make it to the last. In the next few minutes, I'll help you distinguish the 3 levels of a woman's gaze. 1. Curiosity. 2. Challenge. 3. Clear desire. A lingering look is never random. According to the Archives of Sexual Behavior, 2007, when a woman feels sexually attracted, she tends to hold eye contact for 3 to 5 seconds longer. Her pupils dilate slightly. Her gaze softens, often paired with a faint smile. The problem is, most men aren't present enough to notice. They see her look, and they smile back like a schoolboy who just got praised. Or worse, they react too fast, as if that gaze was an open invitation, and that's where everything falls apart. Because women aren't just inviting, they're testing. She wants to know, will you get flustered? Can you hold your center when met with that spark? Or will you fumble, stammer, or lean in too eager? A truly attractive man doesn't fall for a look. He notices it, he registers it, and he keeps leading on his own terms. He understands. A woman's gaze is her first invitation, but also her first test of your calm. Bottom line, if you learn to read her eyes right, you'll never need to ask, does she like me? You'll know. And once you know, you'll start seeing the next signal appear. Touch. 2. She touches you, lightly but often. If eye contact is the first invitation, then touch is the next test, and not everyone passes. In this part, I'll show you how to tell the difference between 3 common types of physical contact. 1. Social touch. 2. Unconscious touch when feeling safe. 3. And touch that signals a desire for physical closeness. Once you understand this, you won't miss the signs, and you won't mess things up when the real opportunity shows up. Now listen carefully. No touch is ever truly accidental when emotion is present. If she keeps touching you, gently but repeatedly, that's her body speaking in place of her words. Brushing lint off your shoulder, leaning on your arm when you're standing close, tapping your knee when she laughs. You might think she's just friendly. That's instinct, checking your reaction. According to research by Dr. Paul Zak, Claremont Graduate University, published in Psychology Today, light physical touch increases levels of oxytocin, the hormone tied to trust, bonding, and yes, desire. In other words, when she touches you, her body is activating emotion from within. But here's where most men fail. They get excited too soon. They think they've been chosen, and they react too fast, too much. They touch back. They lean in. They smile too wide. They lose control. And just like that, she pulls away. Why? Because you missed the essence. A woman doesn't touch you to be touched back. She touches to see whether you're being led. A stoic man doesn't rush to react. He receives the signal, but remains still, calm. in command of the space around him. He doesn't pull away, but he doesn't get pulled in either. The strong man is unmoved by touch. The attractive man makes others want to touch him without ever making the first move. If you ever sat beside her at a cafe and felt her brush against you once, then again, it wasn't a mistake, it was a signal. And how you respond, or choose not to, shapes the entire game that follows. The bottom line? No touch is random, but only the man with discipline can read the true purpose behind it. And if you thought her eyes and her touch were obvious, you'll be surprised by what her body says next. Wordlessly, instinctively, without even trying. So now, are you ready to see what she's never really hidden? 3. Body language. Open, oriented toward you, and dripping with desire. Have you ever been next to a woman and felt like her entire body was speaking to you without a single word being said? If yes, then chances are you missed a signal you were supposed to see. The human body doesn't lie, especially when desire begins to lead behavior. If you can read body language, you'll know exactly when a woman wants to be closer to you, literally. In this part, I'll show you 3 clear signs a woman displays when she's sexually attracted. 1. An open posture facing toward you 2. Unconsciously showing off sensitive areas like her neck, wrists, or thighs. 3. Small sensual behaviors. Lip licking, hair touching, leg crossing. 1. Open posture facing toward you. She doesn't need to speak. Just look at her shoulders, her legs, her gaze, and you'll know exactly where she's leaning. According to Dr. Albert Mehrabian from UCLA, 55% of emotional communication happens through body language. If she's facing her whole body toward you, not out of politeness, but with intention, she's inviting you into her safe space. 2. Displaying sensitive areas. When a woman feels drawn to someone, she often reveals vulnerable zones, not in a vulgar way, but in a biologically driven one. Tilting her neck when listening, brushing her hair to expose her ears, leaning on her arm to show her wrist, crossing her legs accidentally in your view. Don't confuse this with showing off. This is the language of trust and sexual curiosity. 3. Subtle, sensual gestures. When she lightly licks her lips while looking at you, when she keeps playing with her hair as you speak, or when she shifts her posture as if inviting you to observe. No gesture is random if it repeats more than once. That's a silent invitation, and you'll either recognize it or miss it entirely. But remember this, a man of presence isn't driven by signals. He sees them, but stays still. He controls himself and lets her be the one who moves closer. The most magnetic man is not the one who acts first, but the one who makes others act because they can't bear his stillness. A modern Stoic truth. To sum it up, body language is what women use when words simply aren't enough. And if you're sharp enough to read it, you won't need to ask, "Do you like me?" But if you believe every signal is just in movements and posture, you'll miss something even quieter, her voice. Because sometimes the most arousing thing is what's said in the softest tone. 4. She speaks to you in a lower voice. Have you ever been in this situation? She's speaking normally, calm, casual, effortless, and then something shifts. She suddenly lowers her tone, slows down, softens. You have to lean in just to hear her clearly. And you don't know why, but somehow you want to get closer, not because of what she's saying, but how she makes everything around you go quiet. That's the moment you need to stay alert, because this isn't just ordinary conversation anymore. This is instinctual communication, transmitted on a different frequency. A study published in the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior, University of Sussex, 2011, found that when attracted to someone, women tend to lower their voice, slow down, and speak more softly, as an unconscious way to create intimacy and closeness. In other words, the softer her voice, the stronger her desire for you to listen. Women won't say, "I want to sleep with you," but they'll say things like, "What do you usually think about when you're alone? I'm not sure if I should even tell you this." Have you ever felt like someone made you lose control? And they say it just loud enough for you to lean in. She doesn't just want to be heard, she wants to be noticed, because your attention is her confirmation that I'm safe being vulnerable with this man. She's pulling you into a space where she controls the temperature, and you, if you're not present, you'll be the first to burn. This is where inexperienced men often make a mistake. They think, now's my chance to talk more. Or worse, now I should show off what I know. Number A, Stoic man understands. In the silence that follows her lowered voice lies the strongest invitation. Because when she whispers, the outside world fades away, and all that's left is you and the air between you. Don't ruin that space with nervous chatter. Don't rush to fill it with words. Just look at her, stay quiet for a beat, then respond, slowly, with presence. Do you know something? The way you talk makes me want to hear even more. That's it, nothing more. Because at that moment, it's not what you say that draws her in. It's how calmly you can stay when the energy between you starts to rise. In short, a soft voice is the frequency of trust, and sometimes desire. Those who can hear it will lead. Those who rush to react will lose the entire rhythm of emotion she just built. And when her voice drops, when the space between you closes in, she's not just speaking anymore. She's creating a private stage where no one else gets to stand between you and her. Because when curiosity is no longer enough, she'll start setting the scene for something more. 5. She initiates private space. Have you ever been invited over just for a drink, but found yourself wondering if that was real or just politeness? If the answer is yes, congratulations. You've entered the stage where a woman no longer needs to say much, because the context speaks for her. The most intimate conversations never happen in crowded places. Women know this instinctively. She won't say, I want to be alone with you, but she'll let it happen. She suggests moving to a quieter corner, says the place is too noisy, or casually drops, I've got a great bottle of wine at home. If you're free tonight, come by. Think that's spontaneous? It's not. It's spatial control. A study by Dr. Monica Moore at Webster University on female sexual signaling found women often take control of the environment once they feel sexually interested or when they need to assess safety. Put simply, when she pulls you into private space, she's not offering something. She's reading your reaction, and this is where most men lose the advantage. They assume, she invited me over, she must want something. Then they rush, push, escalate, too fast. The biggest mistake? Not the action, but losing the calm, the very thing that drew her in to begin with. This is not the time to get excited. This is the time to show her. The closer she gets, the steadier you become. A Stoic man understands, private space doesn't make you stronger. It reveals who you really are. She's observing not just what you do, but what you can hold on to when the environment shifts. If you remain grounded in that space, you're sending a quiet message. I don't need to rush, because what you're looking for, I don't have to perform to prove. And in that moment, she opens the door a little wider. Not because you pushed, but because you earned it. In short, when a woman initiates privacy, she's testing you. Not with words, but with situation. Not to be protected, but to see if you can control yourself. And when the quiet becomes comfortable, when the boundary starts to blur, she'll test you again. But this time, through words. Because sometimes a playful remark is the final checkpoint before she decides to let things move forward. 6. She tests your reaction when the topic turns to intimacy. Have you ever been in that situation? She says something a bit provocative, then looks you straight in the eye, as if she's waiting to see whether you can stay calm or if you'll rush into the fire. If you've been there, you've already been tested, not on your skills, but on your emotional composure. My ex was kind of wild. I don't know why, but I'm into things that are bold. Have you ever met a woman who made you think of nothing else but that? She says it, then silence. And in that pause, your every reaction becomes her answer. This isn't flirting. This is a test of your grounding. Women use sexual undertones not just to draw you in, but to see if you're worthy of moving closer. If you blush, laugh nervously, or avoid, you lack experience. If you go along, get crude, exaggerate, you're too predictable. She's looking for the man who keeps a cool head even when the room starts to heat up, because that's the kind of man she can feel safe being bold around. According to the Journal of Sex Research, 2020, during emotional assessment phases, women often use sexual cues disguised as casual banter to observe how a man handles verbal stimulation. Not because they're curious, but because they're watching to see if you can hold your ground in the gray zone where most men lose control to instinct. A Stoic man doesn't fall for light emotional traps. He doesn't flinch, but he doesn't pounce either. He responds like this: I'm not surprised. Women say the most interesting things when they feel truly safe. No judgment, no flexing, no showing off how much he knows. Just calm, forged through challenge. Women don't need you to be amazing in bed. They need you to be unmoved by the idea of it. Because real attraction isn't about performance. It's about the ability to stay centered when desire is used as a test. In short, sex is a tool, not an invitation. The man who can handle it with reason, without losing his masculine essence, he is the chosen one. And if you pass the test, you'll notice this. She won't want to leave. Time with you flies so fast she doesn't even realize she stayed longer than she planned. When a woman doesn't want to walk away, it's not because of the place you're in, it's because of the presence you bring. 7. Time flies when she's with you, and she doesn't want it to end. There's a sign that inexperienced men often overlook or underestimate. She doesn't want to leave. There are no words, no clear, I like you. Just this. She keeps finding ways to stretch the conversation. She doesn't check the time. She doesn't mention going home. And sometimes she quietly says something simple. Wow, time flew. I didn't realize it got this late. That is a sign, and one of the strongest ones. Because time is the most valuable thing a person can give you, especially a woman with standards, value, and options. If she doesn't want the moment to end, it means she's feeling something with you that she doesn't feel often. No rush, no performance, no fear of being judged, just drifting in a nameless feeling. And that's the moment you must understand. You are no longer the one chasing. You are becoming the emotional gravity she doesn't want to escape. Why does time flying matter so much? Because human instinct withdraws from where energy is drained and clings to where energy is restored. If she loses track of time with you, you're no longer the man trying to be attractive. You are the place she feels at home. A man isn't attractive because of what he tries to be, but because of how he makes her feel when he's not trying at all. A Stoic note. But be careful. When you sense she doesn't want to leave, don't do what 90% of men instinctively do. Don't get overly excited. Don't try to drag it out. Don't push intimacy too fast, because sometimes what makes her want to stay is precisely the feeling that you're not trying to make her stay at all. A man who truly understands this won't try to hold her. He simply creates a space where she wants to stay a little longer. In short, time is the clearest mirror of real attraction. The more she forgets about time when she's with you, the deeper the connection you've reached, without a single word of confession. And if you've been paying attention, the glances, the subtle touches, the body language, the private moments, the open-ended phrases, the way she lingers when it's time to part, then maybe you already know this. Attraction doesn't come from technique or tricks. It comes from presence, composure, and the quiet strength of how you show up. If you've stayed with me until this part, then maybe, just maybe, you've started to see what most men out there still don't. Women aren't drawn to your words. They're not drawn to your technique. They're not drawn to the things you show off. They're drawn to the control you display when you're not trying to control anything at all. The way you look at her, the way you touch her, the way she shifts in her seat, her voice lowering, the subtle hints, the long silences. None of it is meant for someone who reacts. It's meant for someone who observes. Someone awake enough not to be swept away by the moment. Someone grounded enough to make her feel safe, even in her own desire. A truly attractive man doesn't chase attention, because his presence alone is enough to make people stop. You don't need to perform. You just need to master yourself before you ever think of holding on to anyone else. Because in the end, what keeps someone around isn't your effort. It's how they feel when they're around you. If this video made you think a little differently, feel a little deeper, or simply see the signals you've been missing, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. I don't control others. I control myself. That's all I need to know you made it to the very end. And if you want me to dive deeper into masculine energy, female psychology, emotional control, or anything about staying centered in a chaotic world, leave your ideas in the comments. Thank you for your time, because time is the one thing you'll never get back. And if you stayed till the end, I believe you're ready, not just to understand women, but to finally understand yourself.